sunny spaces, smiling faces, happy places. But every sunny space holds a shadow. Behind every smile are sharp teeth. And every happy place has something sinister lurking just below the surface.
Welcome to We Saw the Devil, the podcast diving deep into the chilling realms of true crime. Join your host Robin as she unravels mysteries that have left investigators baffled and armchair sleuths obsessed. Be forewarned, dear listener. We Saw the Devil is not for the faint of heart. Our unflinching exploration will take you to the darkest corners of the psyche and through the unimaginable depths of human darkness to unearth stark secrets to the harsh light of day. Nothing will be left untouched. Are you ready? Are you sure? We saw the devil.
Iris, welcome back.
Hello, hello. It's always so much fun to be back.
It is. I'm glad that you keep coming back. And everyone loves you. Like, I think everyone loves you more than they love me, because when Iris comes on, and I was so happy to see you on the YouTube channel replying to comments from people and stuff.
Oh, well, yeah, because, I mean, it was so nice to see people going, oh, hey, love it when Iris is on and stuff like that. So, you know.
You like that little ego stroke?
Oh, fuck yes. Who doesn't love the ego stroke?
I sure do.
No, but it is nice. And I'm really grateful that, you know, people will say something. And I like to respond because, you know, sometimes, you know, you need to respond to stuff like that. It's a nice compliment.
It is. And I'm glad that everyone loves you. And glad to have you back. You know, today's episode is a topic that you and I just casually mentioned when we recorded last time. And yeah, I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, me
Taylor
too.
Schabusiness. I don't think I'm humanly capable of saying her name without being like Schabusiness.
Yeah, business.
Whew. And it's a doozy too. It's really sad. There are some cases that hit my heart just a little bit differently. In particular, in this one, how the victim was found absolutely does that.
Yeah, I mean, and to be so flippant about it all, I think that's what really hits people the wrong way on this one.
Oh, I mean, the trial alone was just astounding, but really excited to get deeper in the weeds on this one here in a moment. There was some other news this past week. I remember I woke up one day and a Facebook friend sent me an article and I was like, no. Y'all, BTK, as I'm sure some of you are aware, is now being examined as a suspect in additional murders.
Yeah.
Now, Iris, I sent you that article within seconds. And you and I kind of had the same thought on it.
Yes. And so he had written down a whole bunch of stuff. And if it fits, it sits.
Oh, it definitely sits. So I did some research on this one because, I mean, to be honest, Dennis Rader was incredibly careful. You know, up until the end when his ego got in the way and he thought that he had fooled them for over 20 years and he could keep going with it, he became sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis knew how to play the game and do what he did carefully. Then he got caught and then he was sentenced to 10 consecutive life sentences for murdering 10 people between 1974 and 1991. So after his arrest, federal investigators pored over his writings. He apparently kept very detailed, although cryptic journals and notebooks. So even though he wrote so cryptically, he created his own coding system so he could write openly about stalking instances and murders for himself, and any casual reader who may open his notebook would have had no idea. In these writings, he thought that he wrote cryptically enough, but apparently he did not. This past week, all of this came to light, and it was announced that the land where their home stood in Park City, Kansas, was being excavated because they got some tips.
I know. And how scary is that to have all of a sudden, hi, so we're going to start digging?
Right.
And they're like,
Especially for his daughter, who I want to talk about here in a second.
Yeah, that had to been jarring, extremely jarring.
Now, authorities said that they found incriminating evidence, including possible restraints and a pantyhose ligature. And apparently they also found trophies. And all of this is due to the investigation of the 1976 long cold case, disappearance of 16-year-old cheerleader Cynthia Dawn Kinney in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. And she was last seen at the laundromat that her family owned. So investigators, as they were going through Dennis Rader's journals, they found a journal entry where they basically cracked the code on his code. Say, for example, PJ, he would write PJ number 17, PJ whatever. PJ was his abbreviation for project, which stood for his victims. And then he also was working on a book, and so he would say C9, C8, C7, which referenced which chapter in that book in his manuscript where he was actually intending to give details on that murder. So the entry that they found said for this one, PJ 17th, number 1. At BE of house off 17th, had problem getting in or too much noise factor. The brunette was the target. I would watch the nearby laundromat for possible victim, CC9. Hit PJ bad wash day. Laundromat was a good place to watch victims and dream. Sometimes I have a pair of women's underwear on, and after watching a girl or lady, relieve myself in the bathroom with masturbation thoughts.
Ew.
Yeah, he's fucking disgusting. So considering the location, all of that, that's a likely hit, right? Well, investigators then reviewed his work history, and he was indeed working for AD fucking T at that time, installing a security system at the bank directly across the street from that laundromat at the time of her disappearance.
Okay, so that totally makes sense.
So that evidence points to him for sure, right?
Yeah.
Rader ended up taking a bunch of different jobs. He left Kansas quite a bit. So authorities also began to suspect that he killed Shauna Beth Garber, a 22-year-old woman in McDonald County, Missouri. She was raped. She was restrained with various different types of bindings, which, as everyone knows, is a signature of BTK, bind, torture, kill.
Yep.
And then she was eventually strangled. And this all happened in 1990. So by looking at Rader's journal entries and work history, they were able to pinpoint on the very day Shauna Beth Garber was killed. And guess what? Dennis Rader was in Missouri, in that area, working for the U.S. Census Bureau as an area supervisor.
See, so he was knocking on doors, looking for potential.
And if anyone's wondering why this took so long to discover, her body was found severely decomposed. It was found in an abandoned house in southwest Missouri, middle of nowhere, in 1990, the same year in which she was murdered. However, because it was so decomposed, authorities couldn't identify it until they used genetic genealogy just 2 years ago in 2021.
Wow, can you imagine?
So she wasn't even identified until 2 years ago. So up until that point, she was just considered randomly missing.
Which is sad.
It's so sad. And for her, investigators found Polaroid photos inside of one of Dennis Rader's journals showing them items that likely belonged to Shauna Beth Garber. Apparently, she went missing with a red blanket, and there was a Polaroid photo in Dennis Rader's journal of a red blanket.
Wow.
It's just absolutely wild. And I mean, in closing here, all of this has been done with the assistance of Dennis Rader's daughter, Carrie Rawson. And I know that a lot of you follow her on Twitter. She's been going on her own journey of healing and acceptance through all of this. I mean, really, since she was a child. She wrote a book. She's become a very vocal victims advocate. And honestly, she is a complete fucking badass. And she actually came out last week and admitted that she went to see her dad for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And all this time, she has not seen him. She got a no contact order against him because he would cyber stalk her. And so she said that he's been offered tri-state immunity. I mean, he's not going anywhere anyway, but apparently he's in a wheelchair. He has severe scoliosis. He's 78 years old now.
It sucks to be you, dude. Jesus.
Yeah, right. So apparently he's made kind of a little home in the prison. And basically the leverage that they're trying to utilize is if you admit to this and tell us where more victims are, then we will let you stay in your cozy little prison cell. And, possibly if you don't, then we may move you to a shithole. And then you can just die there. Seems to be kind of the route that they are trying to go with Dennis Rader on this one. And also, there may be more victims still. Authorities believe that there may be a lot more victims.
Wow. That's the part that really gets to me. Like, this guy was extremely prolific, and thankfully they are breaking the code and trying to figure out what this guy did and how and whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised if they find another 10, to tell you the truth.
His period of stopping, like he killed from the 70s to the 90s. Why did he stop? He was very skilled at what he did. He chose jobs that would enable him to have access, easier access at least. So I agree with you. I think that we are going to have a list of at least a few more on here.
Yeah, and whether he tells people or not, they just need to stick this guy in the hole and lock the door and never think of him again.
Just he is so incredibly terrifying. And I think that Israel Keys out of Alaska, I think likely that he has a whole laundry list attributed to him that no one's aware of.
I'm sure. I would not doubt it in the least.
But that's the big true crime news, I suppose, out of the last week. 100% was not expecting it. I saw the article that they were starting to dig up where his house once stood, and I was like, they're not going to find anything. I can't imagine. I didn't hear that BTK would bury or key. I knew he kept trophies, but to my understanding, it was shed, house, things like that, right? Like I didn't know that he actually buried things outside.
Well, and then again, if he created a specific MO, then nobody would think to go dig for stuff.
But we'll definitely plan to cover this as more information comes out on it. One other question for you, Iris, separately, is have you been following the Moscow murders at all?
I started to, but I have been so busy with everything that I need to catch up.
I also need to catch up. And the reason I ask is that I started to do a little reading on it over the weekend. And I want you listeners, I want someone to tell me why. When Brian Kohberger was arrested, everyone, based on what we knew at the time of the arrest affidavit, he was in the area, he followed the victims, the survivors seeing the man in the black with the bushy eyebrows. Everyone was 100% certain that he was guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, thank God we got the killer. Now, the sentiment that I'm seeing across Reddit, Facebook groups, even the news is everyone is questioning if it's actually him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the confidence level has gone way down to where it's almost like 50-50 people who think he's guilty or innocent. And I want to know what I am missing. Obviously, I'm going to catch up anyway. But did something happen? Did I miss something here?
Interesting. Huh. Well, yeah, I'm going to have to catch up. There is a lawyer that I listen to on YouTube, and she has been following this very closely. And I'm going to have to watch hours of her talking about this to catch up, because their defense is putting on a very good case during motions and stuff, or the prosecution is holding their cards, is still holding their cards to very close to their vest.
Honestly, I'm not sure, because every time I read more about it, I'm seeing the same thing. He was in the area. He followed it. He's creepy as fuck. DNA was found on the, sheath, the knife that was left by the bloodied body that had just been murdered. And what I am seeing a lot of, though, as well, is bullying of the survivors.
I don't understand that.
People are still, Iris, you are in the military. You have been around military members and people who serve your whole effing life. People are so hung up on the fact that this girl claims that she heard bumping that sounded like her roommates playing with her dog upstairs. She thought she heard a man's voice say, "Don't worry, I'll help you." And then she heard something, opened her bedroom door, saw a masked man in black in a hoodie walking towards her. She shuts herself in her room and goes to sleep. And the authorities, police aren't called for like another 8 to 10 hours. It's called shock, y'all.
Yes.
It's not that hard. It's called shock.
But see, it's so easy to say, well, I would have done this, and this, when you are not in that particular situation. Yeah, shock hits people very differently in very different ways. Some people just kind of close off. Your brain does that to you, right? Your brain protects you from thoughts and situations that it doesn't want to deal with. So it kind of like shuts down. It says, hey, you know what would be a good idea? Let's go to sleep, because then we don't have to deal with the thoughts that you're having right now. Okay. All right. Let's go to sleep. And your brain shuts you down.
There was another case too of a woman who came out. The name escapes me off the top of my head at the moment, but her roommate was brutally murdered, and she actually went into her roommate's room after her roommate had been killed, and it was one of the bloodiest crime scenes ever. There was blood on the ceiling, on all the walls, on the carpet, on the bed. It was bad. And she actually walked into the bedroom, talked to her roommate, saw the blood, but her brain wouldn't let her process it, and then she went back to bed.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we're made. It's how we're made.
It's for self-preservation.
Mm-hmm. Some people don't have that fight or flight. It's just okay, CPU shuts down, period.
Windows shutdown noise.
Right.
And it makes sense. And also you guys have to recall, I mean, this isn't an episode on Moscow, but it sincerely bothers me that people are doxing and bullying a 20-year-old woman who probably just lived through the absolute most terrifying ordeal of her entire life. And people are coming up with all these conspiracies that she was in on it with him, that she planned it, that one of the boyfriends was in on it. I mean, this stuff is really recirculating now, and I haven't seen this happen since last year. And it's fucking gross. But I want you back, Iris, and we will talk about it after you've caught up.
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right. So, Iris, you're the one who brought this case up in our last episode. So, how did you hear about this?
Well, oddly enough, we were prepping for one of our that sort of weird podcasts, and we always have kind of like what we call that's sort of weird news. And Mike sent us this link to this chick who had done what she did. And I was like, whoa, dude, no, we can't use this as a news. This might end up being a topic on our show. And he's like, okay, yeah, right. So we ended up doing something silly about a llama or something. I can't remember. But that is how I came across this case. And as I started looking a little deeper into it, I found out that the trial was happening in July of this year. And I was like, oh shit, I'm watching. And I watched most of it. I did miss some of when the prosecution was bringing up, their witnesses and stuff, because the prosecution brought up, I think it was like 20 something witnesses. And the defense said, we have one. And then they had a family emergency and they couldn't show up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's quite the interesting little weirdness, right? First of all, the nature of her crime, the charges, basically they're trying to say, well, she's NGI. She's, not guilty by insanity.
Yeah.
She attacked her attorney, the first one.
She whooped his ass. She tried.
Dude, what the? So, that's how I came across this case.
It's
so you
wild.
can blame Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Shout out, Mike. Oh, I've seen some random news articles here and there on it, but it's not something, I've been so busy. It's not something that I would have found organically. So, whew, all right. So let's talk a little bit about Taylor Schabusiness and her upbringing. Taylor Denise Coronado was born to Marla and Arturo Coronado in Chicago, Illinois on November 23rd, 1997. She grew up with both of her parents and brother, but from what I'm hearing, it wasn't a very happy home. Both of her parents were often on drugs, and then her mother was also an alcoholic, severe alcoholic. Family moved to Wisconsin when she was 11 years old. Side note, there is a little discrepancy, and I've actually never seen this before in the news. I pulled up at least 30 different sources for her background, including the arrest affidavit and the testimony as well. Mm-hmm. And every source says she was either 11 years old when she moved to Texas or 11 years old when she moved to Wisconsin. The timeline is a little bit fuzzy, and unfortunately, I just can't reach out to her and say, hey, can you please tell me how old you were? Right. So it seems like the most likely timeline is that the family moved to Wisconsin when she was 11 because she did go to middle school in Wisconsin. She actually went to multiple middle schools in Wisconsin due to behavioral issues.
Wow. Even back then, huh?
She went to multiple different middle schools in Wisconsin, and this is when she met Shad Therian, the eventual victim in this case. They were close friends in middle school and then again in early high school. In middle school, she was diagnosed with depression. And then in 2009, her mom, Marla, died in her sleep. Taylor was just 12 years old at this time. Her mom died from cirrhosis of the liver and severe alcoholism.
Damn.
And that took a huge toll, not just on Taylor, but on the family as well, with her brother not doing well, her and her father as well. And so that is when her behavior pretty much just skid off the tracks. She was in many fights. She's a fighter, so she would fight people in her school. And she was actually kicked out of high school when she was 19. So when she was 19 in 2017, her father sent her to live with her grandmother in Texas. She completed high school in Texas before returning back to Wisconsin. Now, she has had concerning behavior for a very, very long time. Like, one of her Facebook posts just last year in 2022 raised concerns from authorities. It seems like she's referencing a drug addict because she says, quote, "I'll never stop buying you dope so I could just sit back and watch you die."
Damn.
She is, apparently not well. She was hospitalized after a suicide attempt in April and May of 2021. And it was then that she was diagnosed with PTSD and bipolar disorder. Now, when she was in middle school, she was diagnosed with ADD and ADHD. So as of 2021, she now has diagnoses of complex PTSD, bipolar disorder, ADD, and ADHD. There was also a criminal complaint filed against her in 2020. And apparently she tried to beat up a cop.
Oh, because that's smart.
Right? I mean, she's made some piss poor choices. So she was charged with battery on a law enforcement officer and resisting arrest. Apparently, the police found her walking in the middle of the street, kind of swaying back and forth. Police had been called to the area to look for her. She was apparently knocking on people's doors at random. So when officers arrived and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" She said, "I'm not sure. I'm on a different planet right now."
Oh, dear.
I know. She told the officers that she had, quote, "just shot up," and showed them the track marks on her arms. So she had just shot something up at that time as well. During that particular incident, she kicked the police officers who tried to prevent her from walking into oncoming traffic.
Wow.
Yeah, so she was trying to whoop some ass. And because of that conviction for battery and resisting arrest, in law now in Wisconsin means that she's considered a repeat offender.
Yeah, a repeater.
She's a repeater. She's a frequent flyer. So that is going to have say in her sentencing during the punishment phase of her trial.
Yes, it will.
I guess another thing to note too, her father, so her mother's dead. Her father, Arturo Coronado, he did take the stand in the second phase of her trial, which Iris, you're going to talk about here in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But he is also in prison himself.
But why, Robin? Why?
He was found guilty of second-degree assault of a child following a no contest plea and sentenced to 12 years in prison and then 18 years of supervision. So also in 2017, right as he was sending Taylor to go live in Texas with his parents, he was also sentenced to 30 days in jail and put on a year of probation for domestic abuse. So her dad is a clear winner, right?
Yes, very much so.
Continuing the trend of great life choices, Taylor met her now husband, Warren Schabusiness, and they've been together since 2017. They have one child together. So yes, this woman does have a child. And per Warren Schabusiness's own Facebook post, he's in a federal prison currently due to drug charges. And he claims it's all a misunderstanding. I've been set up, all of that good stuff. But he was already in jail when 25-year-old Shad Therian was allegedly murdered by his wife. But same thing, Taylor's dad blames basically her entire downfall on Warren Schabusiness. But as you can tell, she's kind of been involved in a lot of bad things for her entire life, more or less. Pretty much.
I'd have to say yes.
Yes. And then to note as well, Taylor's brother, Arturo, So the son, her only brother, he was killed in a motorcycle accident last year as well.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yep, he was killed in July of 2022.
Oh, that's sad. Okay. Still no excuse, though.
No. And apparently, I mean, the entire family, especially her, just huge drug use, domestic violence, fighting, methamphetamine, heroin, the whole bit. And it's incredibly sad.
Yeah, it's sad, and a lot of this history is what the defense tried to use to be able to do the NGI, and we'll get into that as I'm going through what happened in court and stuff.
She didn't even have friends to come forward and talk about her.
No, like I said, defense had one person, and they ended up getting sick and not coming.
I wish I had more to talk about, guys, but literally there's nothing out there about her other than just the basics and previous criminal charges. I mean, she did not operate in a social circle that would be good for optics.
No, not at all.
So yeah, if you want to talk about the murder trial, feel free. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the crime itself, shall we? So on February 23rd of 2022, Green Bay Police Department received a call at 3:25 in the morning about a human head being found.
And I'm going to actually play that right now.
County Public Safety, how may I help you?
Yes, I'd like an officer at 829 Stony Brook. Girlfriend just woken me up and swears that she found her severed head of her son in the basement.
Okay, can you repeat the address, sir?
829 Stony Brook.
Okay, S-T-O-N-E-Y?
Is it EY, right? Yes. No E. Just L-Y.
Is that a house, apartment, or duplex?
It's a house.
What's your phone number?
My number is 327-3748. My name's Steve.
327-3748?
Yes.
What's your last name, Steve?
Hendricks.
Okay, tell me what's happening there again?
I have no clue what's happening. My girl swears that she's found her severed head of her son in the basement.
Did you go down there?
In a bucket. I went down. I can't tell what the fuck it is. It's part of my language. I'm kind of a little freaked out.
Okay, did she just wake up and say that?
Yeah.
And whose head is it?
She's claiming it's her son.
How old is her son?
24, 25.
Has he been missing, or?
No, yeah, he was here yesterday with some chick, and then all of a sudden nobody's here. And she came up to use the restroom a couple times, and she keeps calling and calling, and now she's saying that she hears the phone down there too.
Okay, is she with you right now?
Yes, she's upstairs. She's a little freaked out, and I don't know what to do.
Okay, all right, stay on the line. And you said you went down there, correct?
Yeah, and I lifted the towel, but I can't see very well, and I can't tell what the hell it is.
So there's something in the bucket.
There's something in the goddamn bucket there.
Okay.
If she won't look again, I don't know what the hell, man.
Do you think she's hallucinating, or do you think that?
I don't think so. I went down and there's something in the damn bucket. I don't know, man. She's a little freaked out and kind of freaking me out.
What's your girlfriend's last name?
Pakanek.
How do you spell that?
Oh, holy shit. You want to spell it? P-A-K-A-N-I-C-H.
N-I-C-H. What's her first name?
Tara. T-A-R-A.
What's her middle initial, date of birth?
What's your middle initial? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yep.
Okay. What's her date of birth?
What's your date of birth? 5/14/74.
All right, can I talk to her?
Yes, you can.
Hello? Hi, Tara. So can you tell me what's going on?
Pretty positive my son's head is in a bucket, a young bucket in my basement.
What makes you think that?
Because I looked in the bucket.
What did you see?
Exactly what I told you.
Okay, where's the rest of the body at?
No idea.
Okay. When's the last time you saw your son?
Well, I guess today is Wednesday, so I picked him up from his dad on Monday. And because he doesn't normally stay here, he was going to stay here for a few days. He left the laundry. He was here a couple hours, then he left with Taylor. And they had some big Taylor.
Who's that?
Girl. Taylor Coronado.
You know how to spell her last name?
Coronado. No, not exactly.
Okay.
But it's the common spelling from around here.
All right. That is
He
correct.
went to middle school and high school with her.
Okay.
I don't know if he does it with me.
When's the last time you saw him?
Well, he left with her. They both came back. I believe they both came back while we were sleeping Monday night. And I assume they slept all day yesterday, so I haven't seen him since Monday night physically. I thought they were sleeping all day. I was gone for a little while yesterday, Tuesday, and he's 25 and I'm on the basement.
All right.
What are you doing? You know what I mean?
Well, we've got help.
And then I heard my door and her minivan start, and I went downstairs and I went to the bathroom. The lights were out in the basement. So I turned them off, and I looked around and I was there. So then when I turned around to come back upstairs, there was a 5-gallon bucket with a towel over it. And I'm like, oh great, that's why they're out here all day yesterday. They were pissing in a bucket. And I looked, and that is not what was in that bucket.
What is your son's name?
Shadirian.
C-H-A-D?
S-H-A-D.
How do you spell his last name?
T-H-Y-R-I-O-N.
What's his date of birth?
9797.
Is there blood down there?
No.
Okay. All right, ma'am. I have officers that are headed over to your house right now, okay?
Head over.
Okay, I'll go down there.
I guess just stay away from it. Just stay away.
From that area, but we're on the second level, so we're going to go down to the kitchen and not to the basement.
Okay,
We
yeah.
can answer the door and stuff.
Okay, all right, ma'am.
My 16-year-old daughter is sleeping.
Excuse me?
My 16-year-old daughter is here sleeping.
Okay.
They do not make a lot of noise. I don't know.
Okay, just let them know that. I'm sure they won't try, okay?
My heart is jump out of my head. It's beating so.
And, I mean, you're sure it couldn't be like a fake head or something?
I'm not touching it. I'm not looking at it again.
Okay. All right, ma'am. Just go ahead and wait for the officers, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Hopefully they'll say that, the 911 operator will go, are you hallucinating? Because, well, when the officers arrived, they went down into the basement and mom took them over to, the officer spotted basically a towel over a bucket by the stairs. And when he lifted it up, there he found a head. And besides the head was a male organ, along with 2 knives, one of them being serrated. Other body parts were also found in the basement in plastic shopping bags. So it seems, as she confessed later, that she kind of got tired and just left things down there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So basically what she did was the victim's upper torso was found in a storage tote along with several internal organs, and it had numerous cuts on the side. Also found significant bloodstains on an unsheeted mattress because So the basement was basically kind of like, somewhere where you would go to, like, let's say you had a guest and there is like a bathroom and, mattress where your guest could go downstairs and sleep there and they'd have their own bathroom and stuff. So it was a finished basement. It had furniture and stuff like that.
The picture of the mattress is actually now widely available too.
And it's pretty disgusting.
It's
There's
awful.
a lot of blood. You have to remember that the human body has a lot of blood. And not just blood, but a lot of sera and all kinds of other liquids, because we're walking sentient fluid sacs is what we are.
Mm-hmm.
So there was also blood spotted near a shower, and there was blood drips that were leading from the shower that had been partially wiped up. Okay, so let's remember all this. Okay, and this is everything that the cops found, right? So the mother kind of goes, well, I know that my son left with Taylor around 9:30 p.m. Mom went to bed, and she remembers seeing, the van, Schabusiness's van out there at around 2:30, 3:30 in the morning. The mom says that she woke up because she heard the basement storm door, just slamming shut. And then she heard Taylor's van drive away. So Chad's mom, knowing that, her son liked to do drugs and that Schabusiness also liked to do drugs, she went downstairs to check to see if he was still home or he had left with Taylor. So when she went to the basement, she didn't see anyone, but she did see the bucket. And when she removed the towel, can you imagine finding your son's severed head inside that bucket because you moved the towel?
That is one of the cruelest, most awful, just saddening things I've ever heard, honestly.
I mean, you and I were talking about that. Is like, how do you live in that home anymore? It's, I mean, I just couldn't. So, of course, she tells the cops, hey, this chick, she was here. So they go find her at a nearby apartment complex. She was leaving an apartment building when she was spotted by the investigators. Mm-hmm. They stopped her and they noted that there was blood in front of her sweatshirt and on her sweatpants. And her hands also had blood smeared all over them. So when she was asked, you're like, why are, do you know why you are here and why are we are here? And she's like, oh, because I have a warrant for my arrest. And sure enough, there was. And then they brought her in. They start questioning this chick. Basically, they start telling her what they have found. And basically her response was, yeah, that's pretty fucked up. And here is her recounting of what happened. She wanted to smoke some meth. And apparently Chad and her had, shared some intimate moments before. So she calls him up. She's like, hey, dude, well, let's do meth and, fuck. And he's like, I'm in. And that is the 9:30 trip that they went to go get some meth. After smoking the bitch, as she likes to say. So they start getting physical with each other and, getting more and more intimate. Allegedly, according to Schabusiness, he liked being choked during sex, as you do, I guess. I don't know. And they used, a choker chain, one of the dog's choker collars. He put it on, and I guess he was starting to orgasm, and she started choking him. She kept pulling and choking him harder because she was getting off on it. Apparently, she says that she went crazy and strangled him. That's what she did. And she just kept doing, she was saying, and direct quote, I kept pulling and choking him harder, but he would not die. So she said that after 3 or 5 minutes, he eventually died, and she continued to play with his body for 2 to 3 hours after that.
Oh.
Necromantic.
What does she mean by play with? Like, fondling and cutting, or
Here's what she says that she's did. Once he had been dead, she basically gave him a blowjob. A little bit of bunting. Or munting. Maybe?
munting. Woo! I challenge all of you to
Don't.
Okay, so way back, Iris, God bless you, for our horror days. So
Yes.
there's a movie called Necromantic.
Oh,
and
God,
it's from like what,
yes.
like the 80s, like late 80s or early 90s. God,
I
can't
think it was
remember.
early 90s.
Early 90s. And basically it is about, ugh. A corpse is brought home to play with. And I learned the phrase munting because of that. Also from, I can't remember names today. Necrophiliac lady. Okay, Karen Greenlee. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say it was 1988, but go ahead. Please finish your...
Oh, man.
Gotta love those Germans, right?
Oh, man. I'm gonna leave all of this in. Whew.
Okay.
Okay, so Karen Greenlee as well. So I learned this phrase from the movie Necromantic, as well as Karen Greenlee, who wrote an interview. The interview itself is so prolific. It's called The Unrepentant Necrophile. Also learned about it on Reddit, because there used to be a subreddit for necrophiliacs where they would actively talk about what they did. And it's munting. And I'm not going to define that for you. If you are very confident in your gag reflex, feel free to go to Urban Dictionary and you can find the meaning of munting.
And that's munting.
Yes, thank you. This is something that necrophiliacs like to do because it is very specific to corpses.
Yes. And I think I gagged a little. I think
I was about to. I had to stop talking. All
right. So that's basically what she did. So she was giving him a blowjob. Mind you, he's already dead. Okay. He has been strangled to death. She was giving him a blowjob. While she was doing this, she had apparently they had toys. And apparently she stuffed a dildo in his mouth and also introduced it anally. And then as she was blowing him, she was also at the same time cutting.
Oh, no, really?
So, yes. So she did dismember him during the process. And again, another quote, and this is a quote from the detective. Schabusiness stated she sucked the victim's penis and that she had a dildo that she put in the victim's mouth and then in the victim's anus.
Wow.
Here's what she says. She says, yeah, I liked it. I knew what it was. She wanted to know what it was like. And she asked the detectives, like, do you know what it is to love something so much that you kill it?
Jesus.
And the cops, they're like, okay, so they didn't ask her, are you guilty of this? Because these cops already probably had an idea in their head that this chick is going to try to, it's such an outrageous crime that they were going to try to do an NGI with this. But they were asking her, so you do understand what you were doing, right? And that's when she goes, yeah, I liked it. As they're asking her questions, they're like, so what did you do? Where did you leave things? And she's like, yeah, man, the damn head. I can't believe I left the head.
Oh my God.
So it's understood that basically, like I said, she just got bored. She got bored of what she was doing. And because, she was just all messed up and just decided to leave. Though she did take a leg. She did take a leg and some of the organs. And here's the fucked up thing. The van, I believe, was not hers, but her roommate's.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I believe that's what came across in court. They're still asking her questions and stuff. And she's like, she told the police they were going to have fun trying to find all of the organs. And she also admitted that the knives that she did use were from the victim's mom's kitchen, and that the bread knife worked the best because it was a serrated blade.
I remember I did read that about the serrated knife works best. This woman is completely unhinged.
She is unhinged, but let's keep that in mind as we're going through this. So they concluded the interview, and police said, "So you did kill him?" And she's like, well, yeah, I choked him and I liked it, so I kept doing it. So there is the confession. I liked it. I kept doing it. I did it.
Mm.
So that is her confession. February 14th, she arrives on trial, and this is prior because, they're doing motions and stuff. During this court appearance, Jolly, who was her defense attorney at the time, had motioned to delay the trial. And as they're all talking, and you can find this on YouTube if you want to find it, woman accused of decapitating lover attacks lawyer.
Yes.
And it's the law and crime one. And the camera's panning back and forth between the judge and the lawyer, and then they're discussing things, and all of a sudden this bitch just gets up and starts attacking her lawyer.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. So of course the cops, have to jump on her, and one particular cop was just trying and fighting and lashing out, and she's being led away, and I guess maybe she had said something to the cop, and he's like, you went off on your attorney, Taylor. You went crazy on him. And you see her being led away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, extremely horrific. This woman is 25 years old. When they were trying to set the trial, she has gone to 5 assessments to make sure that she is mentally competent, right? And within those 5, 4 of them were definitely like, nope, this bitch, she did something crazy, but she is not insane. The 4 that count are the ones that the prosecution basically did. The court sent her. The court said, you will get on these pills that if they are given to you, if somebody prescribes pills, then you will be pills because we want you mentally fit and capable of understanding the crimes that you are being charged for. During this whole time that she was talking, apparently it comes out that she was a huge fan of Dahmer.
Yes. She had pictures of him and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she had been doing some, I think they had search history, Google history, where she had Googled Jeffrey Dahmer, his crimes, how he did them, things like that. So it was apparent, and there the prosecution was trying to establish premeditation. She knew what she wanted, so it was an intentional homicide. This 25-year-old, when she came in, was charged with 3 charges. First one being first-degree intentional homicide or first-degree murder, depending on where, each state names their things differently.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault. Now,
Jesus.
Attorneys for Schabusiness were trying to go, no. Dude dead. How can this be a sexual assault? And they're like, she had the guy's dick in her mouth when she was trying to cut it off. Yeah, no, this is sexual abuse. This is sexual assault. So he denied the defense's motion to drop the sexual charges based on the idea that the victim was dead because his penis had been dismembered. Therefore, there was nothing sexual about the assault. Then the defense, of course, also argued, and this is all pre-trial, of course. They were also arguing that the initial evaluation had been completed in November of 2022, because please remember that this crime happened on February 23rd of 2022. She was not tried until July of 2023, 15 months after the crime had been committed. So the judge did approve a competency hearing. They're saying that they think that she had suffered a mental breakdown, or there was some sort of mental defect that she had because of her family history of addiction. And they were trying to bring in the PTSD, saying she had a mental defect.
Interesting.
Right. So then a forensic psychologist comes in and she testified that, Schabusiness did show signs of an active psychotic disorder and she was not competent for trial. So on July 21st, they had another court psychologist. She came in within, 7 days? She's competent to stand trial.
That didn't take long.
But no. And the judge ultimately found that the defendant is competent and they were to proceed with jury selection, which they did. So, shall we get into the trial?
Trial? Yes, please do.
Okay, here we go.
WWE of a trial?
Pretty much. I mean, 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days. 1 hour of deliberation. Less than an hour of deliberation.
Idaho is jealous.
Right? Yeah, they are. They are. Judge Walsh, basically, it like any other trial, I explained that the defendant had entered 2 pleas, not guilty and not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect, or basically an NGI. I say NGI because it's so much easier to say than NGDMMDIPQRW. I don't know what else. So I'm old school. NGI. So, and he also explained that there was going to be 2 phases of the trial, right? First of all, the jurors were going to decide if she was guilty or not. And once if they decided she was guilty, then the second phase of the trial was going to start. And that is that the same jury, had to decide if she was suffering from a mental disease or defect during the crime.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Let's get the players here. Assistant District Attorney was Caleb Sanders. Basically, he stands up and says, hey, she made choices. And these choices led to the death of her friend. And then she decided to not only degrade his body with sex acts while it was already a corpse, she dismembered it, she scrubbed the crime scene, and then she hid remains in her car and threw out the basement, telling law enforcement that they would have fun trying to find all of him. Very, very defined. Defense attorney Christopher Froelich gets up and goes, so yeah, please keep an open mind and don't jump into conclusions about the defendant's guilt until you've heard all the evidence. That's basically it, because she said, yeah, I did it and I liked it. The defense lawyer was really there just to ensure that her rights were met and that the prosecution, of course, always has the responsibility of showing over a benefit of a doubt that this person did this crime. Again, if you guys want to watch the trial, there's 4 days of it, and I think each day was close to 10 hours. So that's 40 hours of a lot.
I wish that I had time to watch the full trial, because I watched some highlights for this episode, some highlight pieces, and it was fascinating. And I'm a trial junkie. I know a lot of you listeners are too, but this trial is definitely one that I want to go back and watch.
Yeah, do so. And Court TV has them all, and you could also find them. That's how I watched mine, Court TV, and you could YouTube has them. You just look for Taylor Schabusiness, and you'll find all the stuff. So after that, the jury heard the phone call, just like you guys did, and Steve Hendricks also said that's the mom's boyfriend. Said that, yeah, they found the head in the bucket, and the operator asked him if the mother was hallucinating, as in, are you sure that that's what is she on drugs? Basically. And he's like, no, but the person who did this did. Was. So yeah. And then, of course, we, kind of like with the Lori Daybell, we did not see the graphic photos,
right,
in the video, but the jury did. And that included the victim's head in the bucket, bags and containers filled with body parts, the sex toys, the dog collar, and the bloody knives.
Man, that's a lot to process.
It is. And that was day 1. I missed day 2 and I'm pissed off because that was the day where, the prosecution was going to go boom, 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 boom. Here is our evidence. You've seen pictures. Here is, autopsy. Here's this. Here's that. During this whole time, and I have seen videos of it, Schabusiness is laughing. She's giggling, acting like a 3-year-old when they're supposed to be sitting quietly. That's basically what she was. She was waving and gesturing at the judge. Basically, day 2 is the prosecution laying out all the evidence they have. I did not go back to see it, but I certainly will because it sounds like there was a lot of stuff.
Her behavior during the trial is what just flabbergasts me, because I posted a promo video about the case a couple days ago, but she does that all the time. Like her facial expressions, her look, she's constantly laughing, rolling her eyes. She's very reactive to everything whoever is on the stand says. And she'll constantly stare into the camera as well in the court.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
So, and of course, you kind of have to take all this with a grain of salt, right? Because is she play acting?
Right.
Or is she truly this wackadoo? Hard to tell. So day 3 is basically the detective, Kevin Kempf, describing the interview after her arrest. How she spoke as she had exercised her right not to testify. Her attorney asked the judge to confirm that she was not being pressured, as in during the interview. You have to remember, every person gets Miranda'd, and the first thing that they say is you have a right to remain silent. If you do not exercise this right, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. She did not remain silent. Therefore, it can be used against her. Now, her attorneys are going, yeah, but she was still methed out. But then, prosecution again goes, but she didn't stay silent. We did not prompt her. She just didn't stay silent. So her rights were given to her and she decided not to. So that kind of killed.
Bitch.
And then, of course, now she waives the right to testify. But, during the interview, she was just like, oh, yeah, it was fun. I'd do it again if I could. What the fuck? So both sides rest. And this goes to the 12-person jury. In less than an hour, they come back and say guilty as charged on all charges. The judge goes, okay, good. So we know that you guys have said she is guilty. Now we're going to enter the second phase, and that will be tomorrow. Tomorrow we will have experts come in. They're going to talk about, is she NGI or not? Was she insane when this happened, or was she not? During the first phase of this whole thing, it is the prosecution's responsibility to show beyond a doubt that she is guilty.
Right.
During the second phase, it is the defense's responsibility to show that this girl was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So on day 4, they come back. This is when her dad testifies. And guy comes in shackled by the legs and wrists in his little orange jumpsuit. And he basically says that, she has suffered from hallucinations and she just wasn't in her right mind, and that he's always worried about her mental health. And then we also have a defense psychologist that basically goes that she was not criminally responsible for her actions because she suffered from severe bipolar, and it kind of made her volatile, and she couldn't, and I love this, the way she said it, unable to appreciate the wrongfulness of her actions. And deprived her of volitional control. So in other words, she's like, she just didn't have the mental capacity to control herself and didn't know if what she was doing was right or wrong. Then the prosecution goes, hold my beer. They had 2 psychologists who testified that said that because her actions were fueled by drugs, that she voluntarily ingested that made her ineligible for the NGI insanity plea.
Interesting.
They said not only did she voluntarily ingest these drugs, she made a decision to, one, dismember his body,
Yep.
two, clean the crime scene.
Oh yeah, there was an attempt to clean it.
Yeah, there was an attempt to clean the basement crime scene, which is evident that she knew that her actions were wrong. So then the attorney rebuttals and says, well, I could argue, it could be argued that the drugs compounded her psychosis. And there was supposed to be a pharmacologist that was supposed to show up and give his expert testimony. But it was decided that he was not going to do that because, one, he was a pharmacologist. He had, his credentialing does not let him diagnose or pronounce diagnosis on anyone. And since he cannot do that, he really cannot talk about how medication would affect that particular diagnosis. So that part of the argument was killed. So basically, again, the prosecutors goes, that's all fine and good, but when she voluntarily took those drugs, whether it was going to compound her psychosis or not, she made that clear decision to do that.
Right.
So therefore, it wasn't like she got triggered by something that he did. If she was triggered, it's because she voluntarily ingested those drugs. So
Right.
therefore, no good. Again, 12 persons go in. Less than an hour. They all come back out. Unanimously agreeing that she was not suffering from a mental disease or defect. Now, when a jury goes in to decide if somebody is guilty or not, it has to be a unanimous vote, right? It's either everyone, it's like ride or die. Everybody says she's guilty or everybody says she's not. They're trying to see mental competency. Only 5/6 of the jurors have to agree. So if you take 5/6 of 12, that's 10 out of the 12. So 2 people can say, no, I don't think so. But as long as 10 people say, or yes, we find that she is not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, or yes, she is, then the verdict stands. Basically, they said that she knew right from wrong and that whatever act that she was doing, it was within the bounds of the law or not. So then at the end of this day, they basically were like, okay, well, she's a repeater. We're going to have to take that into consideration. Sentencing for Schabusiness has been set to September 26th.
Man, it's coming up here, less than a month.
Less than a month. And so Wisconsin does not have is a no DP state. So there's no death penalty. But she will get just like Lori, she will get life with no parole.
I think that she would definitely deserve it, but I just, knowing what we know about her background and whatnot, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on it, with such a big history of mental illness throughout her life, this fights with other people from the time she was 10, 11, 12 years old. I just have to wonder if this is a mental health issue versus being just a cold-blooded killer.
I have to say it's just a little of both because is it okay? Well, let's take you and I, for instance. We love hardcore extreme horror movies.
Yes.
The more body.
You and I are probably on lists somewhere.
Yes, we are on lists somewhere because goddamn, this chick rented this movie way too many times.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, she's streaming this once a week. So does that make us mentally deficient?
Potentially.
Potentially, right?
Oh,
But
kidding.
yet we do have the capacity to be able to say, is this yes, wrong, or right?
I just like the special effects, man.
Right? I mean, it's like, I love the gore. I mean, because, I know it's fake. That's why I like it.
I can't even, and for those of you listening, I'm such a baby. I can't even handle seeing a paper cut. I once had a girlfriend who, we lived in an apartment on the second floor, and we were letting the dogs out, and she fell and scraped her knee, and I was so disgusted. I had to go to a different room. I couldn't even look at her scraped knee.
Oh, good God, Robin.
In person. No, that's how I am in person. But then, like, I'm probably on some, like, FBI watch list for the types of movies that I watch. So,
right?
Go figure. Go figure.
It's like, why would she watch this? Now, so her Google searches, her being a repeater, just being this kid who has an extreme chip on her shoulder. And I have to say, for me, does she have a mental defect? More than likely, but not to the point where she could not figure out that what she was doing was right or wrong. Had she said, well, we were fucking around, we were high, I choked him and I just didn't let go, I killed him, so I took off because I didn't know what else to do. I freaked out, manslaughter, no problem.
Instead, she was like the in the last episode that you were on, Iris, I mentioned Grizzly Man, the interview with the pilot.
Oh yeah,
who brought the police. Remember that he told him like it was. Instead, she was like him. She's like, I did it, and I did it once, and I'll say it again. I'll do it again. I enjoyed it.
I liked it.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, and by the way, have fun. No, so she clearly knew what she was doing. It was definitely planned. She knew that he had a soft spot for meth. So when she said, hey, let's get methed up and we can have sex like we usually do, she knew exactly what she was doing.
Yeah. Do you think it was planned?
Almost definitely. It had to have been planned. She knew what she was doing. So I think the plan was to choke him and to kill him because she wanted to see what that was like. But the part of the dismemberment and, getting all necromantic on him, I think that part was not. Because if it was, she would have come prepared.
Yeah. The blood alone. I mean, if she was into like, her internet search history, the movies that she watched, she was obsessed with serial killers. Like, she had to have known just how much bloodshed there would be.
Right.
And did she just give up? She said she got tired. Did she just give up and realize at that point, I'm not going to get away with this? Like, it's going to be very apparent. I don't know. The choices that she made are just so bizarre.
They are. But then, she was muddled with meth, right? So this is a brain that, and here is what the defense was trying to argue, right? She's like, she was so muddled with meth and her brain was not making logical decisions. Therefore, you cannot hold her accountable for making these illogical, ill-thought decisions. But when push comes to shove, the defense goes, yeah, but she knew the kind of decisions she would make if she voluntarily ingested meth.
Oh, you mean the prosecution? Yeah.
Yeah, the prosecution was saying, no. She knew what she was doing.
I mean, it'd be like, imagine getting too drunk or, stoned and getting behind the wheel of a vehicle and then killing them. Are you going to be like, oh, I was high and drunk, I couldn't have made the decision to get into the car?
Right.
No, you voluntarily did. You voluntarily ingested alcohol, therefore you voluntarily...
And you voluntarily got into that car knowing that you had ingested so much alcohol.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, and that is their case. And it was a very well thought out case. And like I said, the defense attorney, I think, was there because she needed representation and he needed to make sure that the prosecution was not going to overstep.
Right.
And he did that.
Mm-hmm.
there really wasn't much that he could say because she had confessed. And it doesn't matter. I can go into a court, into a precinct and go, hey, I did this, this, and this. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to charge you for that. And then when I get in front of a judge, I still have the right to say, not guilty.
Right.
Prove it. And, well, the prosecution did.
They sure did.
Whether she confessed or not. So, the journey, and the poor the poor defense attorney was like, well, so just keep an open mind. Make sure that the prosecution did their job. Because there's really nothing else they could do. I mean, they tried everything. And of course, they also did, the mistrial thing like you do. If you're a competent attorney, you're going to do that. What's his face did it for Lori. Like, oh, well, we're this was a mistrial. And the judge goes, yeah, no. Same thing here.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so September 26th, we shall know.
Is it televised?
More than likely it will be. I mean, it has been, so I see no reason why it wouldn't be. So more than likely I'll be keeping my eye out September 26th, and
make sure you let me know when it's coming. I will forget. It's always such a pleasure having you on, Iris. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to have you on again. Why don't you go ahead and tell everyone, because you have, again, so many side projects as well.
Okay, so basically my main project, of course, was with Mike and Jim, and we do the That's Sort of Weird podcast, where basically we take stuff from pop culture and we talk about it. And most of the time it's kind of like the audience is the fourth member of our little group, and you're just listening to us discuss things amongst ourselves. I just got done with a Doomsday Prophets, and Mike is this Saturday. We're recording the next one, so the next podcast will drop on Sunday, and we are doing Dorothea Puente, which was, of course,
nice,
the serial killer from California. So we will be doing that one, and then we're going to go on a hiatus for a little bit, and then I'm also usually doing stuff, reviewing movies with Gary on his podcast, which is called Cinema Beef Podcast. And we just did, we did The Howling, and I think we're going to be doing more horror related stuff since 'tis the season.
I know. Do you have any good movies that you're looking forward to?
So The Nun 2.
I'm so excited. I will die on the hill that The Nun 1 is one of the most beautifully classic. Like, it looks just like a Hammer horror.
Gorgeous movie.
Oh, gorgeous.
And okay, so the Conjuring universe. The first Conjuring movie was a Lifetime movie with jump scares. The second one, the Enfield Poltergeist, that was pretty amazing. But really didn't belong to the pantheon of Ed and Lorraine, because Ed and Lorraine were there in real life. They were there for, I don't know, a day.
They're also lying liars.
Yeah, they're liar, pants on fires. But, who doesn't want to stare at Vera?
Amen and preach to that.
And then, of course, The Nun. So in the pantheon, The Nun shows up in the second movie of The Conjuring, the Enfield Ghost, blah, blah, blah. And then we have The Nun, which is basically the story of who that demon is and why it shows up as a nun. And of course, it's Vera's little sister, which is in that movie. So the second movie is about, she was an initiate then. She is now a nun. She did her vows. And the child who is at the orphanage that she's at, who has mystic powers, as the Catholic Church likes to call it, is Lorraine. So
Interesting.
there's the full circle, and I whoever came up with this universe, and you and I had discussed this before, they did their homework. They did their
They
homework
really did.
hardcore. And they tie things up very nicely with little bows and hand them to you. So I'm waiting for my gift. And I can't wait to watch Nun 2. And besides that, then of course, I'm gonna do my typical usuals, TCM and Resident Evil and the Halloweens, because I mean that's what you do, right? You watch Halloween for Halloween. And I'm gonna go through all of them.
I always pick usually a one franchise every Halloween to go through, or as many as I can get through. And
Mhm.
I've already done, last year I did all the Texas Chainsaw Massacres. I've done all the Halloweens. I've done the Hellraisers. I've done all of them. And so I think this year I'm going to save all the new October movies. I want to see The Voyage of Demeter,
Oh yeah,
because that
yeah. So
actually looks super good.
that
It
looks
came out
amazing.
today. It's
Oh,
available for home watching today, but I'm going to save it for Halloween.
okay.
I fucking hated the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy. I hated it. I have not hated a franchise or filmmaker more than I despise that man for what he did to that film.
But Evil Dies Tonight. You don't like Evil Dies Tonight?
Evil dies tonight. And then yeah. And then he's just like Michael, some geriatric patient in the third one who lives in a sewer.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
He's homeless.
But I was so excited because I am such a huge fan. Did any of you guys watch The Exorcist, the TV show on Fox?
Yes, and that was
That
good, and I
shit
was
so
disgusted
good.
that they canceled it.
Everything I watch gets fucking canceled.
We'll stop watching shit.
Oh god, I'm making everyone's life miserable, not even just my own. But like A League of Their Own, the new remake that was on Amazon,
That
is
got
like one of my
canceled too.
favorite things. Yeah, it got canceled too. I was like, well, fuck me then. Like, whatever. Don't make me happy. But I was so sad to see that he's doing the Exorcist trilogy. It's going to be a trilogy, by the way, guys. I wonder what kind of like Your Mother Sucks Cocks in Hell. I wonder what kind of spin he's going to make on that to make it be like Evil Dies Tonight. It's
Oh
just
man, you know what? I hope not. And you know, I was extremely excited about this, and I watched a trailer, and the trailer has kind of left me with a sour taste in my mouth.
yeah.
But as soon as you see Ellen Burstyn or Chris McNeil, I was like, oh, I want to watch this. But if they do not use her character in a good way, if they make her the exorcist or demon expert, I'm going to scream and I'm going to throw things at the TV. I really, really am.
Cameo versus like canon.
Yes, exactly.
I'm gonna watch it just because The Exorcist 3 is like one of my all-time favorite films. So
yeah, that took the whole thing into it took it to a different level. It really, really
and for
did.
those of you who haven't seen it, I know most people have seen The Exorcist. I laughed at The Exorcist. I saw it when I was 6 years old. I laughed at it. The Exorcist 3 is one of the scariest fucking things I've ever seen.
Oh my god, get off the ceiling, Grandma.
No, thank you.
The nurse with the hedge clippers. Ooh.
Oh, the jump scare galore.
It's
But,
so good, right? It's so good.
I can't stand James Wan for the most part. For the most part, I can't stand this like new generation of like horror films. I just, we have Saw 10. I am excited for Voyage of Demeter, The Nun. I don't know. Is that coming out in time?
I think it is. The Nun's going to be out in September.
Nice.
Let's see, The Nun 2. And yeah, the 2023 release date of September 8th.
Nice. So just in like 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, so if you can walk away from Starfield for
that's going to be
2
hard.
hours. 2 hours and 12, 2 hours, I think you should be good.
Yeah. Where are my gaming girlies at? Because Iris and I are like set for Starfield.
Oh, dude. I'm so excited. So excited.
As I was telling Iris earlier, and if you're friends with me on Facebook, you've seen but I'm redoing my office just for Starfield. Like, I'm renovating my home office just to make it badass for this video game that's coming out so I can play it. So, like, I'm painting the walls tonight. I'm moving furniture. I'm mounting two gaming monitors. I'm pulling a couch and moving shit around. And I have like $2,000 of hue lights in my living room downstairs that I'm relocating to this one room.
I think that's awesome. That is so awesome.
I've been waiting for this video game for like 5 years, and it's finally coming out. Iris and I were balling and ordered the premium editions. But lots of good stuff coming out, y'all.
Yes.
A little something for everybody.
Yeah, Sister Irene. She's so good. You know, Bonnie Aarons, who does the demon nun, she's not bad looking herself.
Honestly, did you know that she plays the homeless lady behind the dumpster in Mulholland Drive?
I did not know that.
Go look at the picture. Look up homeless Mulholland Drive. But fun fact on Bonnie Aarons is that she actually was in the news a lot recently. Did you know? Because like I feel like the nun is iconic at
She
this
is.
point.
It is. It is.
Did you know that she's only made like 40 grand off of the whole thing?
What? You're shitting me.
She's made no money. No. Apparently there's like a contract dispute and everything, and she's actually suing the production company because for breach of contract, because they're not paying her, because even though they're using her likeness for everything from posters and
no. She deserves. She has royalties. Was it not in her contract?
Nope. She made like a set amount, and that was it. And it's like next to nothing. I'll send you the article.
Yeah, please do, because that's bullshit.
Yeah, she's made like nothing off of it at all, and so she's suing. The Nun lawsuit. Why the actor from The Conjuring and the Nun movies is suing Warner Brothers, saying they haven't paid her for her likeness.
Oh, wow. That's not cool. Not cool at all.
Well, I've kept you for a long time, Iris, so I'll let you go have an evening. But thank you again.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me up again. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I love coming on and talking with you just because. But then, you know, we also talk about cool stuff too. So it's awesome.
You know what? In the next episode, I'm inviting you now. Let's do the Nun.
All right. You want to do both?
For good old times.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do the first and second one, and we can talk them through.
Sweet. Let's do. Oh, and then talk about the lore and everything and how cool that is.
Yeah. We could talk about Valak.
Valak.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll talk to you closer till.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye, y'all. Thank you for having me on.
Until next crime.